Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about pressing our fabric. And I say pressing because it's not ironing like we would iron our clothes. We're not holding it down and swishing it back and forth and pushing, because what that does is it stretches our fabric, and we don't want that when we're quilting. So today I'm going to teach you how to press your fabric for your quilts. Hello and welcome. If it's our first time meeting, glad you made it to my channel. I am Jackie with Jackie Russell Creates, where we talk about everything quilting. I hope to inspire you to make traditional patchwork quilts and some art quilts, whether they're big or they're small, as long as we're creating. So follow along as we go and press some of our fabric. So when I first buy my fabric, I normally buy by the bolt or by the yardage, off the bolt. If you're getting pre-cut, say fat quarters or fat eighths, I like to iron them, as well as my jelly rolls. I like to iron them first. And the reason why is because they've been sitting on the bolt, they've been folded, they got creases, they got hard seam lines from being folded in half. Sometimes you'll get off the bolt, well, even on your jelly rolls, it's going to be all crinkled up and folded up under, bunched up, and you're going to have a seam, and then when you go to cut, it's not laying flat, so your pieces aren't going to be straight and precise. So what I do is I open my fabric all the way open, and I'm going to press it. And I'm going to press this main seam on this fabric because it's a real deep seam. And that's just where it's been folded in half on the bolt. And when you press, you're just going to just put your iron down. So it's an up and down motion more, not a swishing and pushing type motion. It don't look like it on camera, but that's, you know, I'm going like this on my fabric. And when I first am doing it, I really like to use steam, especially for these harder creases and seams. So you're just gonna press your fabric. You get all the wrinkles out. I'm not gonna iron this whole thing. And then in order to cut it, I'm going to line back up my salvages, your raw edges, just the way it was folded on the bolt. And I'm just going to let it dangle down, and then that's where it's going to be your center. It necessarily may not be that crease that was there. And now my fabric, I have the straight edge to be able to put along a line on my ruler to be able to cut a straight piece of fabric for my quilt top. And it's going to be more accurate than before I ironed it or pressed it, because now I have all those wrinkles and creases, them extra fold bumps that may have happened while it was sitting on the bolt. Then once you have your fabric cut, and now you have it pieced and you're ready to, you know, add it to your quilt top or block or whatever, you have to press your seams. And so to press your seam, I just have a half square triangle block here that I've sewn, and to press it, first thing you're going to do is leave it just how you sewed it on your machine. You're going to set those seams in, those stitches into the fabric. Cotton is pliable, and so when you heat it up, it kind of allows those stitches to set down into that fabric, and it gives it a stronger, sturdier seam. Plus, if you're stitching at your scant 1/4 inch, that's going to give you your 1/4 inch seam because of the width of the stitches. And then what I like to do is I like to open it up, and I'm just going to kind of press toward the dark side. Then I'm going to use my iron. I'm going to use the edge and the tip and bring it and kind of push it up, but don't stretch, just kind of give it a little push and open up that seam toward that dark side. And there, you know, is our press seam ready to go. It's going to lay flat on our quilt top. So it's ready to go into the rest of the quilt. So now, let's say you have to make you're making a 4 block, a 9 block, and you have to press your seams, and you want to press them toward the dark. Normally that's where you want to press. In this case, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to set the seam, going to open it up, going to use my finger, and I'm going to use the iron and press it open. And the reason that makes it really nice and flat, so then, you know, when we're stitching and we want to stitch in the ditch, you have that little lip that you're going to follow your needle along, and it's going to go right in the ditch. And when you stitch in the ditch, you shouldn't be able to see your seam, and that's because, you know, you have it pressed open that it's just nicely laying right in the ditch. But when you press to the dark and you're making a 4 patch or a 9 patch, because they're pressed to the dark, they're going to be the opposite, so they're going to nestle right up against each other. It's going to give you a flat seam when you open this up. So you would just take this back and iron it, or stitch it, but you can feel where those seams are nestled right in there together. And when you do that, you're going to get nice flat seams. And in this situation, on this block, you know, you had it stitched this way, and now I'm trying to figure out which way do I want to press this. I let the fabric kind of tell me. I'll flip it over and see which way the fabric wants to lay the easiest when I press it. And in this situation, it actually, you know, was coming to one side, and you'll be able to feel it and tell, because it will give you that smoother, flatter seam, so you don't have the bulk. And you know, you're going to notice, like even here in the center where we have several stitches coming in, it's still going to lay pretty flat. You know, you're going to get into a situation where you're having a pattern, something like this, and you're going to have right here a bunch of bulk, and you know, have to figure out which way you want to press that to get it to lay flat. And that's, you know, allowing the fabric to kind of guide you, but still trying to press toward the dark. So in this pattern, I press all seams toward the dark fabric, and it's able to lay nice and flat and won't give me any issues when I get ready to stitch this or quilt this, because all my seams are going to be laying flat. So I hope this video has helped you figure out which way and how to press your fabric. Remember, we're not ironing it, we are pressing it. We're using the weight of the iron up and down, not swooshing back and forth, up and down. If it gave you some tips, please comment below and let me know what they were. Or if you have another way that you iron that you think everybody else will find helpful, comment below and give this video a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really does help my channel grow. And if you're new here and you want to stick around and learn more about quilting and different tips and techniques, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know the next time that I upload a video. Until then, happy quilting, my friends.